The Missouri Land Survey Program began in 1968 with the passage of legislation that created the Land Survey Authority. This authority was in response to surveyors beginning to notice a decline in original corners out there, the corners that were set by the General Land Office. And they felt that state agency was needed to help protect what corners were left and then restore, reestablish those corners that needed to be put back in. So the State Land Survey Program was formed at that time. We began as an authority, then we went to the Department of Natural Resources during reorganization, then we went to the Department of Agriculture here just about 3 years ago in August. So we've kind of bounced around a little bit, but for the most part, it looks like we found a pretty good home here in agriculture. My job is the administration of the program. The biggest component of that job that would probably be of interest to land surveyors is the rulemaking process. In 2013, these rules came out of the Missouri Society of Professional Surveyors Committee. The rules will soon be promulgated, and that will be part of the laws that govern surveying in Missouri. You probably heard the expression CSR. It's a codified state regulation. This has all the power and authority of law. This is the third way we make laws in Missouri. There's, of course, through the legislature, we have representatives, senators, the governor. They all make laws for us. We also have the courts. We get laws through the courts. And a CSR is also a law. It's a rule, but it also has all the enforcement authority of law. Now, these laws are enforced by the CSR that has to do with surveyors, is enforced by the registration board. The state land surveyor, along with the Missouri Society of Professional Surveyors and along with the registration board, puts these rules together. Then they're filed simultaneously with the board and the Department of Agriculture, and it becomes basically the framework for the laws that surveyors work under. The process will hopefully be completed by the end of 2016, beginning of 2017. If there's ever a problem out there with the public land survey system, and this goes back to one of the reasons why why surveyors in the mid-60s thought it important for there to be a land survey program, was to help protect and preserve the corners of the public land survey system, because those were disappearing at an alarming rate. And they still are, as far as that goes. But through a lot of the programs that we have through the land survey program, such as the corner restoration registration, where it's required in Chapter 60 that any surveyor who restores or reestablishes a PLSS corner is to file a document with this office. Those documents are put on into the system. Any surveyor has access to them. And that has at least helped when a surveyor goes out and does restore, reestablish a corner, has helped keep a record of that corner alive. Generally, we will go out and investigate any problems with land corners that's reported. Many times, I'd say it's probably around 50-50. It's either a landowner or a land surveyor. Many times, or a combination of the two, because a landowner wants a survey done, and the surveyor comes back and says it's going to be this astronomical amount because there's just no corners of record, no surveys of record in your area. Well, what can I do? Well, you can write a letter to the state land surveyor. All we want is a brief description of the problem, some kind of proof that the person doing the request is actually the landowner. Believe it or not, we have had people who didn't even have any interest in the land call in and ask about a section corner, and when we get out there, the people around don't even know who we're talking about or anything like that. They just heard something. So now we ask that. I mean, that's been many years ago that happened, but so we ask that, you know, a tax receipt, copy of a deed, just show us that you're the landowner. And brief description of the problem. We'll go out, take a look at it, see what we can do. Right now, we're running about 2 years behind, though, on those investigations. So it's not like we're going to be out there tomorrow and it's first come, first serve. So if there's a problem area in the county you're working in that you know about, and it might be better to kind of head it off at the pass, write a letter to the state land surveyor, describe the problem and the area, and before you really have a big project in that area, maybe we can get out there and take a look. We have 3 people in administration. Myself, land survey technician, and an administrative assistant. In the field survey section, we have 6 land surveyors, including the section chief, 2 technicians, and in the repository there are 4 land survey specialists, and as land survey specialist 2 heads that section. The technology has increased so much with, instead of filming with a camera, we now scan and we have an archive writer. And that archive writer takes those scanned images and puts them on microfilm. So it's a lot easier to do. You get a lot better quality, and with the scanned image, as far as what's going out there into the repository. So you get that scanned image that's a lot better, and then you're still archiving that image on microfilm. So, you know, it's gonna have it for another 400 or 500 years. The work that we do in the Geodetic Unit is, we're the only game in town as far as that goes. The National Geodetic Survey, the only thing that they take care of now are the Coors stations, things like that. So all those stations out there, the concrete markers, horizontal and vertical both, those are up to us to maintain them. So if a surveyor finds one knocked out, or that's going to be knocked out, they call us, tell us about it, and we do whatever we need to. Sometimes we'll just, you know, let it go. Those marks are not quite as important as what they were because of the Coors network. But still, surveyors need something to check into to make sure everything's working properly. You know, you still want to go out and check it on a static mark just to make sure that you're getting a good coordinate, so that when you don't want to just rely totally on that Coors network. So we still have to maintain that static network that's out there. We do a lot of mark maintenance right now. We're in the process of getting the state ready for the 2022 adjustment. right now we've got a 4-county project going, kind of just to make sure that we can get it going. What we're doing is we're taking these stations, the Harn stations that we're tied to the last time we did an adjustment of the state, we're tying those Harn stations to the Coors network. And the Harn was put in by NGS back in the 90s as a high accurate reference network. They're 1 part to a million, I think is the accuracy statement on those marks. And then we've tied in most of our countywide networks to that. So we're going back, we're checking those marks again against the Coors, readjusting it, then readjusting the counties. And we'll be ready in 2022 when NGS says, here's the new coordinates for your Coors stations. And that way, otherwise, in 2022, all those concrete markers out there would be worthless. No one would know what the value should be.